you don't boo Joel Selwood. You just don't boo the king. Hey Cats fans, we had the win over the Pies on the weekend, and this is your match review. So it was the big Selwood game. Last week it was the Buddy game, and we all got over that. But this is all about Joel and Joel's 227th game, game as captain, breaking Stephen Kernahan's record of VFL games captained. So well done, Joel. It was all about him on Saturday night. Apparently Collingwood played as well, but for us it was just the Selwood show. We had Dalhouse and Zach Guthrie got omitted in the lead up to the game. In the end, Dalhouse got named as the medical sub, and we had Higgins and DeConning get recalled to the squad. So that caused just a few concerns with Higgins coming back. We're all happy. I think we're happy to see DK get some games into him because we know he's got some potential and we want to give him every opportunity we can to realise that. And we had some concerns about Blitzarves not playing as well because he seemed to cop a nasty shoulder knock the game before as well. So anyway, it was we had a good crowd turn up. It was about just a tick under 53,000 at the MCG, and the Cats did the business on the Pies. It was a great game to watch, I think, for the neutrals. At times, it was great to watch for Collingwood supporters, especially that third quarter. We'll come to that. And definitely in that fourth quarter for us Geelong fans. Didn't we love it? Didn't we love it? The day after as well, Twitter was going off. I've never seen it go off like that the day after. So must be when we beat Collingwood and Hawthorn and Richmond. Those wins tend to mean a little bit more, don't they? So anyway, let's get stuck into the first quarter. Let's have a look here. What do we got? All right. So first quarter, it was Pies were all over us, weren't they? It was they were pretty wasteful though. It was especially one in particular, Jordan De Goey, who I noticed didn't get many boos on the weekend. It's mostly reserved for Selwood. But anyway, that's how the Collingwood supporters roll. But he kicked 4 behinds. Lucky he kept in it through their poor kicking and bad accuracy at goal. And Jezza gave away a 50. I don't know what was going on. Jezza looked like he was having an off night to start with. He didn't in the end. But he gave away a 50-metre penalty. He was just walking around. Oh, what's going on? Stand on the mark, mate. The umpire just screams out every time someone takes a mark. All they do is yell, stand. Jezza. Anyway, Danger was great in the first quarter. He was pretty good. I was really impressed with Stanley in that first quarter as well. Did really well. Did some nice things. It probably wasn't winning too much of the hit out, but he's just competing all over the ground. And honestly, we haven't got a premier ruckman in the team. And if that's the best we can hope for Stanley, then I'll take that week in, week out. It's clearly better than what Radaglia gives us, and I don't think we're going to get Segler on the park anytime soon. Second quarter rolls around. Again, Collingwood couldn't kick straight. They just weren't taking advantage. There was, I think Taylor Adams had a chance right out in front, maybe 15 metres out in front. It was a goal in play, and he just blew it. Anyway, that was so we ended the quarter. Somehow we ended the quarter in front. I think it might have been 5 points in front going into the main break. Again, Danger was pretty good that quarter. Stewart started to get a fair bit of it and was quite influential that quarter as well. And I liked what I saw from Parfitt and Atkins that quarter as well. The third quarter, we have to talk about it. We're a bit concerned, us Geelong supporters, about what our team did or didn't do that quarter. It was pretty horrible. Collingwood kicked 9 goals, including 5 in 5 minutes. We also had, and this always happens, doesn't it? When you get, when there's a bit of momentum going the other way, that's when you tend to get all your injuries coming through. So Blitzarves looks like, for the second week in a row, he looked like he was down for the count. He wasn't though. He actually came back on a bit later on. And then Radaglia hurt, I think it was an ankle or a lower leg of some kind around that region. But he looked like he was pretty injured as well and had to eventually get subbed out at the 3/4 time break. We got absolutely smashed. Collingwood kicked 9 goals. They were just playing a style of football and a high-octane brand that was just, I guess, if you're a neutral, it was gorgeous. But for us, it was like, what are we doing? We just couldn't lay a tackle. It was pretty disgusting. And Selwood, at one point, so that upped for that first 3 quarters, he was having an absolute mare. I'm going to say it. I love the guy, but he was... I can't remember him playing a worse game in recent memory, at least anyway. He wasn't having his best night up until that point, including the chase down from Jack Henry's brother. What's his name? Anyway, the other brother got tackled, and then Tommy Atkins decided to fly the flag, which I actually liked. Selwood was copping a little bit from the blonde-haired or the peroxide blonde guy, Ginnivan or whatever his name was, Jack Ginnivan, I think it is. And he was copping a bit, so that young fella probably just needs to realise, show a bit of respect for the elder statesman of the game. Atkins went and flew the flag, gave another away free kick, and 2 goals in 30 seconds. So perfect. It was all going great. And yeah, luckily enough, Cameron got on the end of a nice service and had a set shot from goal just before 3/4 time and nailed it. So it's like, okay, great. All right, here we go. Cameron's got 3 goals. He's doing all right. We're not completely out of it, but I think my heart was telling me it was probably done. Whatever, let's just see what we can get out of this game, and on we go. I thought Stewart was just, he played probably at best. There wasn't really many great players that quarter. Stewart and Cameron were the two for me that really stood out that quarter. Stewart just because he had so much of it, because it was down his end all the time. You can't really give it to the forwards and the mids when that's happening. I thought Duncan was okay that quarter too. So then we activated the sub and the Dahl comes on, and I'm thinking, here we go. Really? We're taking out Radigalia for Dahl. But wasn't he amazing in that quarter? Wasn't it? I'm one of the ones out there. Hand up. I am down on Dalhouse quite a bit. Down on Higgins probably just as much, if not more. But I loved everything Dalhouse gave us. The injection he gave us in that 4th quarter. Everyone pretty much across the board just lifted 20%. I don't know what was said at 3/4 time huddle. I would have loved to have been there to hear what was being said for that, to try and get the boys up for that. I heard Selwood say after the game that Jeremy Cameron just said, "Give it to me, boys." So he was pretty confident. It doesn't always turn out that that's what's going to happen, but in terms of turning it on like he did. But he was great. I thought Stengel was horrible pretty much for 2.5 quarters, the first 2.5, and then he started to get a bit more of it and was a bit more influential. And I was really impressed with him in that last little bit there. Blitzarves got thrown forward a bit, and just full respect to him. If you think Selwood's a tough bloke, have a look at Blitzarves. He cops a fair bit, and he's just back on the ground again. He'll fight through a lot of pain. He's a tough bugger, that Blitzarves bloke. Full respect to him. I probably didn't have that. Didn't think he was that kind of bloke that would just play through injury, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got rested this week or next. Actually, I don't want him to get rested against Brizzy, but yeah, he's been copping a fair few hits lately. It's off a 6-day break as well, so fingers crossed he gets up for that one. I'll tell you what I really loved. The other king, DK, De Conning, his goal assists, I think there was a couple of 2 direct goal assists and 3 score involvements that I could count at least anyway. His hands, if you can get your hands on that vision of some of those highlights in the 4th quarter, keep an eye out for De Conning and what he was doing in that 4th quarter if you haven't picked up on that one just yet. That was crazy stuff. I loved it. Amazing. And we can't get if we talk about the 4th quarter, we've got to talk about couple of people. We've got to talk about Joel Selwood, who it's just typical Joel Selwood, isn't it? When the chips are down, he stands up and the boys just followed. And he just did, I got emotional watching it, actually. It's just Selwood doing it again. We probably were going to lose the game. Most people thought we're still going to lose this game, but Selwood just said, "No, I'm playing like my life's on the line here." And it was great to see all his teammates and all the boys, and everyone just sort of take his lead and follow it. And Jezza just, you need a bloke like Jezza to stand up and just say, "This is my game, I'm taking it." And didn't he go nuts, Jezza? Some of his set shots were fantastic. He got on a few Joe the Gooses. I think 2 or 3 of them of his 6 were like that, but that's okay. And I think in the end, I think we kicked 7 goals and 2 behinds to their 1 solitary behind that quarter. So it was just a absolute domination. I thought when we evened it up, I thought, oh, that's great. Collingwood will just go 1, 2, 3, game, set, match, and it'll be all over. And, honourable loss for the Cats for fighting back. But no, we kept pushing on and ended up winning by 13 points, 2 goals and a bit of change. So really impressive. Yeah, there's some questions that'll come out of that game. We'll get to that. But I'm just happy for the win. Like, it's hard to win games of footy in this comp, and there's a lot of clubs that don't see a lot of success. So I don't want to be a self-entitled prick that just doesn't enjoy the win. So I'm going to enjoy this one. And yeah, there's a few issues to fix up for the club, but I'd rather finish strong than hold on to a win after leading by nearly 40 points. I think that's a much better way to go into next week than the other way around. So yeah, look, Collingwood, to their credit, they played fantastic for about 3 quarters. Again, apart from the kicking, that's going to cost you like it has for us the week before. But look, they play a game style that's high energy, a crazy frenetic style of play, and maybe it's just not going to hold up for 4 quarters. Maybe it will against most teams, but Geelong and a few other top 4 contenders will probably test that style a little bit over the coming weeks. It'll be interesting to see how they go, whether they make some slight adjustments to that or whether they just stick to it and go, well, if this wins us 15 games, we'll take it. A lot of pundits were picking us for bottom 4 or even bottom of the ladder. So, we'll be happy to try and get as much win. And you play the right way, and that's probably how you want to play in finals. And if they can teach that, and if it doesn't sort of get them all the way this year, that's fine. Like if I'm a Collingwood fan, I'd be quite happy with my team, the way they're going about it this year. So, look, for that quarter, I'd probably you can't go past Cameron. I was happy with Stewart again as well. I just thought he was just doing heaps of great things. Selwood, I didn't give a vote to, but his just attitude in that quarter. I probably should have got a vote actually. Now that I've watched the replay of that last quarter a few times, but yeah, it was just across the board. I was just so happy with the boys. It was polar opposite of how I felt about the team at 3/4 time, but yeah, it was fantastic. We ended up kicking the final 8 goals of the game, which was great. Our disposal rate was pretty good. Ran about average, about 73% for the game, which is not too bad, I suppose. So if Mark's inside 50, which we tend to get a lot of our scores. If you ever watch the sort of season highlight package of Geelong, a lot of our scores seem to come from set shot goals. And you've got 2 Coleman medalists in the side, that's probably going to happen. A lot of mark kick goal type players rather than those small forwards, which we haven't really, and mids, that apart from Rowan, I suppose, but we haven't really had a lot of that type of goal scoring. We're starting to get Closey involved a bit more now, which is good. And Stengel was quiet in terms of hasn't kicked a goal the last 2 weeks. So we probably need a little bit more out of our smalls still. But it is pleasing that we got some goals out of our big key forwards this week as well. I think we kicked 16 goals, 8, and three of those 8 behinds were rushed as well. So it's really, in effect, 16 goals, 5. So pretty crazy accuracy, similar to the Sydney team the week before as well. So you'll take that most weeks. It's not going to happen most weeks though, is it? So whatever. A couple other thoughts about the game, or about maybe the season overall. Dangerfield, best on ground in the first game of the year. I keep waiting for him to turn the ball over. I keep waiting for him to kick a scrubber kick or just stub his toe on the ground. Like he's just, just at the worst moments he has a habit of doing that. But I think he's been pretty good with his kicking this year. Even his goals, he kicked a really important goal. It was the 3rd or the 4th quarter, I can't exactly remember. He's just a bit more reliable with his disposal this year. It's early days, but that makes a huge difference. He gets a stack of it and he gets so much meterage. If he can dispose of it and keep that going, that's great. So I'm really happy with that. I'm also happy, if we remember last year, Max Holmes, the Sherlock, could not kick a goal. I know he got one in the end, but goodness me, he had some chances before he finally got one. He doesn't seem to. He's I don't know how many goals he's got so far in the year, but 2 or 3, something like that. But he's starting to find the middle of the sticks as well. So I'm really happy for him. Because we really need him and a few others like that to stand up as well. I was really happy with Stanley's game overall. He probably didn't win the headouts and what's his name? His opponent. Oh my God, he's one of the best rucks in the comp. Momentarily forgotten his name. It'll come back to me. But yeah, he competed the whole night. He did all the little stuff. Strong over the ball. It's Stanley. He's not the most skilled bloke going around the world, and I don't expect that from him, but I just expect him to do the bare minimum well and play his role. If he can do that, I think the rest of the pieces in the team do their bit, and then most weeks we get the win. If he plays a shocker and just gets absolutely destroyed and doesn't have the heart to sort of throw himself in and do all the little things, or he starts to get too big ahead, that's when I start to think things go a bit awry with us. So happy with Stanley. It looks like he's going to be in the team for a little while longer with Segler and Radaglia having some injuries at the moment. He could be there for a little bit longer. A bit frustrated that we couldn't stick some tackles, especially that third quarter. It just looked like they were just dancing around us the whole time. It was like, hey, can't tackle us. We could not get a tackle on them. I think we won the tackle count, but there was just moments in that game where they were just walking around us, and I don't know if maybe it's an age thing that we just don't have that lateral movement anymore. But I don't know. I was noticing it. Maybe I was looking for it too much, but we just looked like we couldn't stick anything. It was a bit of a concern. Really happy with De Koning. Look, I'm sure we could all pick on those times where he got outmuscled in those one-on-one situations and probably didn't read the play as well as he could have at times. But equally, he did a lot of good things as well, which I don't want to. I think if you balance the two out, I think overall I'm happy with his performance, and I'm seeing a lot of positive signs. And with those bigs, you've got to stick with him. You've got to get games that are. He's not going to. I'd be surprised if he turned it on in season 2 or season 3, but he's definitely not going to turn it on if you don't get games on him. So we've got to get him up to 50 games as quick as we can, and hopefully we've got a good one there. If his brother's anything to go by, there's reason to be optimistic. His brother at Carlton, but we'll see. Let's see how we go with him. I'm hopeful anyway. So I think overall pretty good. Give my votes to Cameron, Stewart and Danger for the night. I thought they were all reasonably good, especially Jezza. He was just crazy good. But yeah, a lot of players I reckon could have got the one vote easy enough without too much trouble. And in the VFL, Cats went down to Collingwood, but some good performances from Narkle with 27 touches and a couple of goals, and Brian Myers, a couple of goals as well and 22 touches. So you'd think, though, one or both of those two, maybe one of them, it's probably not too far away from getting a game. And also Cooper Stevens played pretty well as well, 25 touches and 5 tackles. So they might keep him in the VFL a little bit longer, I think. Again, early in the season, I like to see these young guys get games. Whether I throw him in against Brisbane, don't know. I don't think that's the best time to blood him, but maybe the week after against Hawthorn might be a better time, possibly. Hawthorn's probably, at this stage, probably about our level, maybe slightly behind us. I don't know yet, but I'd love to see Cooper Stevens get a game pretty soon. I think he's due. So yeah, Brizzy next week, or this week I should say, at GMHBA. I'm tipping the Cats, not because I think we're better than them. Brizzy just hasn't beaten us at GMHBA at Kennedy Park for 13 straight goes. So why would you pick them? I think you're crazy to pick against that statistic. And maybe they'll beat us, and eventually these streaks come to an end, but I'm not going to be the one that picks them to do it. But they had a big win. I think it was 104 points or something like that against the Kangaroos on the weekend. Don't know if that says anything really. If it was us, I'd be concerned because you come up against a real test the following week and you're kind of playing a bit like millionaires and Bruce free footy. I don't think that's the way to go into it. When you're coming down to a soggy Kardinia Park and you're going to cop some bigger bodies, seasoned vets. But look, I'm hoping for a good game. There usually are pretty good games between us two. There's always a bit of aggro. So Lockie Neal, I'm looking forward to saying hi. Unfortunately, I thought I was going to go, but my family's heading up to the Gold Coast, so for surface or Broadbeach for a week, a well-earned break. We haven't had a break for a while. So we're heading up there. I'm still going to try and find a pub. If you know of a pub around that area that'll have the footy on, let me know, and I'll try and suss it out. But yeah, that's where we'll be. So I'll try and do my match review up from the Gold Coast somehow on the beach, maybe. I don't know, something a bit different, or maybe I don't know what I'll do. I might not have all the little graphics that goes with it. It'll just be my ugly face talking at you through the interweb for a little bit. So yeah, anyway, so that's the review. Sorry if it went a little bit longer than normal. They seem to be getting longer and longer, don't they? Anyway, I am going to try and get it down to 10 minutes one day. We'll see. Anyway, thanks, Cats fans. We'll see you next week. Go Catters!